don't trust people. That's a learning lesson. Don't trust what people say, trust their actions. Why don't we actually partner up? I'll drop everything else I'm doing and we'll build this business out. And we'll be at $1 million a month in the next 6 months. He was like, nah, man, we can't do $1 million. That's insane. Within 6 months, we were doing $2 million a month.
Hello to everyone, welcome to our new episode on Ecom Business Podcast, and today I have one of my friends and great agency owner who is already in 7 years in the space and generate over $50 million for his clients on e-commerce space. This person who is gonna be here today sharing his experience and giving you some suggestions. He was able to sell his business twice. He scaled one e-commerce business to multiple 7 figures and sold out in 2020. And in 2021, he made the exit from another store, which he was able to scale to over 7 million for himself and just made an exit and continue growing his agency. So the person which is completely legit and he is sharing all his journey and able to give you advice and suggestions. So please listen carefully. If you hear something important, don't forget to make notes because he definitely knows what he's speaking about. He is the CEO of RevChimp and he's a full service e-commerce marketing agency, and they specialize in the e-com brands, help them successfully grow their businesses to over 6 figures a month and moving forward to the 7 figures all the time. So let me just, no further ado, I want to introduce you one of my friends, which is his name is Abe Elsayed. What's up, Abe? How are you doing today?
What's going on, man? Nice to connect with you again. I keep seeing you at events and we keep talking about this podcast, so I'm glad we're finally doing this.
Yeah, I'm happy that we find out the time, and especially with all the difficulties with time zone and busy schedules, but I really enjoying having the podcast because you guys are amazing. Everyone who I'm having a calls with, I can see that we are just on the same plate, on the same place, and we know what we are talking about, and it's easy to connect. Because of the same, I would say not even same mindset. Let's say it's cliche, but it's fact. Same mindset people, easy to speak with, and a lot of nice insights you can understand from each other.
I agree, man. I agree. It's good to connect with people sharing the same ideas and to be in rooms where different people are going through different experiences within the same industries, because you start to see that you're all talking about the same thing in different ways, and you start to get different points that you can implement in your business. So every single time I've seen you at an event, I've learned something, from our conversation or from side conversations. So definitely looking forward to this. Bro.
Awesome. So let's get started and tell me please more. First of all, let's understand why you decided to open the agency before we'll go deeper into in your space and how you're doing that. But what was the main decision? And as I know, you were living in Kuwait with family before. How come that you moved from there to US? You start your own agency, especially such a successful agency. What was your background to how you was able to make it?
So I think we share something in common. It's like immigrant mindset where, you could be anywhere in the world and you'll still be successful. You'll still find a way to make something happen. So we were, living, I would say we were as a family, nomads. My dad was a dentist. He's a very successful dentist. And he kept getting hired, but he got hired in Saudi Arabia. They called him out and they were like, hey, we'll fly you out here and your family. Come help us build this hospital. It was like a royal family hospital. It's a big deal. So my dad goes there for 2 years. We're out in Saudi Arabia in the middle of the desert. We don't know anyone there. We're little kids. We we're literally abandoned in the desert. And my dad doesn't like it in Saudi Arabia. It was too harsh for a living situation, especially back then. So he decided to move back to Egypt. That's where I'm from. I was born in Egypt. And we go back to Egypt. And then he gets another call from Kuwait. These countries were still coming up. They were still expanding and growing. So
Which year it was? When it was?
I don't know. We left Kuwait 2009.
Oh, it was quite far away. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You were really a kid that time.
Oh yeah. We left Kuwait 2009. So everything between 1995 and 2009 we lived it in different countries, like Kuwait and Saudi Arabia being the two major ones where I spent most of my time. So in Kuwait, there was this thing where Kuwait, I'm Egyptian, we're North African. Kuwaitis were very like prideful of being Kuwaiti. Kuwait was like, they discovered oil and they were coming up, starting to become a very successful country. And they were hiring people, the best of the best from different countries to come help them with their project. My dad was one of them for the dental space. So he worked at this hospital also for like royal family. And he like, he was one of the people that built the hospital there. And I noticed there when I was in Kuwait that a lot of these kids were very prideful, and I felt like nobody saw value in me as a kid because I was Egyptian, everyone else was Kuwaiti, you know what I mean? So I wanted to always have to prove myself. So I remember like I became like, I had to figure out, how do I become popular in this school? So I started to look at, back in the day, these kids used to play basketball and they would wear everyone would sag. Sagging was like a popular fade back then. Mm-hmm. So they would sag and they would wear these boxers with colorful cartoons on them. And it was really silly, but that was the popular thing to do. They would show their boxers. So what I would do is, I realized every time I go shopping with my mom, there's a wholesale store that sells these boxers with cartoon on them at a very like good price. So I figured out how to, I think I was in 8th grade or 7th grade. I figured out how to walk to that store from my school, buy a bag full of these boxers and sell them individually to the kids because their parents won't let them buy them on their own. So that was my first like drop shipping, right? I bought it wholesale and then I would sell it to the kids in my class, and I became the popular kid because I would go to the store. Yeah, I would go to the store and buy them whatever they wanted, like iPods, MP3 players. I was flipping devices. I was flipping product. I would buy it used. I would buy it used and sell it for a profit. I'll give you an example. We had in Kuwait, we had a lady that would come in and help us clean the house. She would help my mom clean the house because my mom worked too. So I had a bad purchase. I made a bad purchase from a friend of mine because I felt bad for him. He wanted, some money, and he had this MP3 player. He gave it to me and I bought it from him, and I was like, man, I'm stuck with this thing. So I go home and I see our the lady that comes and cleans, and I knew what type of music she liked. So I went home and I downloaded all the music she likes into it. And then I was like, hey, I just bought this thing, but I don't like it. I'm going to sell it. Do you want it? She was like, no, I don't want it. I was like, okay, well, keep it for now and I'll just get it back from you in a week when you come back. So she kept it, and by the next week when she came back, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take it back because I need to sell it because I need the money for it. And she was like, no, I'll buy it from you. So she would use it to while cleaning. So little things like that, as like a kid, introduced me to the idea of buying things and selling them and making a profit. And like I was rich as a kid, and my dad had to like tell me, what are you doing? When the iPod came out, the big one, I went and bought 80 gigs worth of memory, the top iPad or iPod when it came out. And like the guy that was selling it to me was like, where, like, is this for you or who did you get this for? So I remember just like always being obsessed with like technology and always being obsessed with like buying and selling as a kid. So I think it started very young for me.
That's cool. Really, it's an interesting story that it's bring you like inspiration of selling stuff. It brings you to the real dropshipping business in e-commerce, which is like you just like pivot to the direction or together with the time. So that time came for that, and you just decided to start it. So if you started 7 years ago, it means like back in 2016 or 2015, you started the journey. Am I right?
Yes. My first year of college. That was when I first started. So
you've been in US already, or you were still?
Yeah, we came to the US in 2009.
Okay.
My entire family has been in the US. My cousins and family, like they're all like born and raised here. It's just our family that decided. My dad wanted us to retain a little bit of the culture in Egypt, so we were like born there. And obviously my dad was also working on his visa, and it's a tough process, so it took time.
You feel my pain. We just discussed before recording about my situation with US.
It's tough. For the people that don't know anything about immigration and coming to the US and establishing a life here, it's very tough. Very tough. Now it's easier a little bit. Yeah, now it might have gotten a little easier now, but back then they were very particular, and technology wasn't easy to get a hold of people. So you had to call embassies and you had to call people to make things happen. So now most things are online, but still very difficult and a long process.
Yeah, that's true. I can tell you from my perspective, from my side. But you decided to start that in college, and how that was, and what was your first successful case, and how much before that you lost, or you jump in and directly like make money from it, because everyone has completely different background on it with the drop shipping.
Yeah, so my first venture actually was in the clothing space. Like I bought a heat press, and that was 2015, and that was actually 2014 and 15.
Yeah, it was famous.
Yes, that was around that time. It's very famous back then. So I remember my friend he knew how to use Photoshop. So I was like, hey man, like, can you design a logo or something cool we could put on a shirt? And then we started making these religious shirts, say like, read it, teach it, preach it. Because I was like, the religious community is so like, they have so much pride. We can sell this to
them. Always want to show up that who they are, what they trust. Yeah, religious is a good niche. Yeah.
So I don't even know what I was thinking about at that time, because I didn't know what drop shipping was. I didn't know what e-commerce was. It was just an idea. So I sat down with my friend, his name is Ali, and I was like, hey man, can you design something like a cool logo, and I will like get it printed. I bought a heat press for $300. We can make this turn this into a business. So I go to a shop that sells, mind you, I'm like 17, 16 at that point. We go to a shop, my dad takes me, and my dad invests in my business actually. I convinced him to invest $600. He invested $600 into blank t-shirts for me, so I can sell them. And I had purchase orders from my friends. I had friends that told me that they will buy one as soon as I print it, right?
Wow.
But I didn't take their money because I didn't want to take anything before I gave them the shirt. So the shirts get made, takes a couple of weeks. I'm heat pressing every single shirt. I'm done with all the sizes, and then it's time to start selling them. So I go to my friends. I'm like, hey, it's $25 a shirt. You told me you're going to pay it. And I'd say out of the 50 people that told me they'll buy it, maybe 5-6 bought. So I was left with like negative 500.
With the stock.
Yeah.
You haven't tested your ads before you've made the inventory, but offline.
So I was sitting on all of this inventory, and then my dad was like, man, I'm sorry it didn't work out, but don't trust people. That's a learning lesson. Don't trust what people say, trust their actions. And if they say they're going to buy something, get the money first and then go fulfill the order. And that was a good learning lesson for me. So that time I felt very depressed because like as a kid, I was like crushed. I'm like, I spent all of this time heat pressing, ordering product, and it was very difficult. Vistaprint and all these websites weren't around back then. We had to go to shops, and we had to go to these shops and do it the old school.
Everything by yourself, yeah.
And line it up perfectly so that when you're pressing and you're screen printing, it's done properly, and it's always like in the same spot. So that was difficult. So I took a break after that. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm not made for this. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this business thing. And from then, for like 2 years later, I started another project.
Okay. And another project was already online or still offline?
The other project happened during my first year of college. When I graduated high school and I was in college, my parents actually didn't like the fact that I was like buying and selling things. So they put me in homeschool. So I actually got homeschooled because of how hyperactive I used to be. And they weren't trying to like let me go down like the drug dealing path, right? So they put me in homeschool. I mean, I wasn't like selling anything illegal. I was just trying to hustle. I got homeschooled, so I really couldn't do anything during homeschool. Like I was just like studying from the house and staying home all day. Barely, I would just go work out. And then after I graduated high school, I remember my first day of college. I'm sitting, I've took all my and attended all the classes for the day. And I sat on the bench and I called my mom and I told her, can you come? And she comes and sits right next to me on the bench. And I'm in the middle of like the college, it was a community college. And I'm sitting on the bench and I started crying as an 18-year-old kid. And everyone's like looking at me like, why is he crying? And my mom was next to me and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't like this. You know, I want to do something. I feel stuck in a class all day. Like, I feel trapped. I need to go do something. And she was like, why don't you do your college, focus on your school, and see if you can get yourself busy with something fun. So I started a blog. It was called Discover Sacramento. And it was my passion project. This blog was like an affiliate program. So this blog was going to feature local businesses in the Sacramento area, which is the place I used to live in California. And I was going to write about different food places, different restaurants, different experiences. And I was going to feature all of these people on my blog and then charge them for being on the blog and then get a percentage of any sale that happens on my website. And then I started doing that. And then the website, within 6 to 8 months, I paid this girl to write blogs for me because I didn't want to write the blogs. I'm not passionate about blogging. She would write them because she was a writer. She studied English. And I was like, hey, do this, I'll pay you. And then I was going to the businesses and doing the sales. I was like, hey, I literally would drive to like a place in downtown with like a bunch of businesses. And I would just walk into every business and just take a deep breath.
Hustle.
Yeah, I'll take a deep breath and then I'll just walk in through the door. I'm like, hey, my name is Abe. I work with Discover Sacramento. I'd love to work with you guys, have you guys featured on our website. Oh, great. How much do you guys charge? Well, first, I mean, how do you guys get your sales right now? How many customers do you guys get from the web, from online? And they're like, oh, we don't have online presence. Oh, man. Actually, we can help you with that. And then that's when I got into social media marketing too. So I was managing Instagram accounts and I was managing their listing on my website. And as I was 18 years old. As an 18-year-old, I was making $7,500 a month managing social media account. And it was just me and a girl. Her name is Christina. And we were like she wasn't getting paid much. She doesn't know that I was making $7,500.
It was definitely boom. If I started back in 2017, it was really hot. All these SMM agencies and e-commerce space. There was not much agencies, but there was e-commerce mentors, e-commerce like dropshippers, and so much success was there. You just need to know how. You need just to get the right idea how it works. And the SMM, like Ty Lopez, I remember his program. I started when you were mentioning this stuff, actually, when I was trying to hustle and survive and finding out the way how I will be survive on the e-com space when I lost so much money. I decided done. I'm moving to Ukraine soon. I was in Dubai that moment, and my wife saying, "You coming to Ukraine? You have to come to Ukraine." I start getting some results already by that time in e-com, but I was understanding it's not enough, especially if halts will happen or whatever. I cannot stay without the work. I have to find out something before I move to Ukraine. And I start really walking through the restaurants. Every single restaurant. Just instead of the meeting, I type it in my sales work. I was business developer in gas company. Hey, I have a meeting XYZ. And I just took the car and drove to the downtown and few hours just through the restaurants. Hey, I have an agency. it was actually funny, but it's similar. When you said it, I was feeling you because hey, I have this and that. I got gym client, I got beauty space client, and some other it was as well something to it was sport shop. And I was really, because of them, I moved to Ukraine. I was living on that income and plus e-commerce, and was covering e-commerce space. So definitely that was, and it was 2017 for me. You done that even earlier. So it was a boom. And I love to hear that you have something similar.
Yeah, Iman Ghazi, I think, was just starting out.
Many guys speaking about him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Who studied from them.
He was in my group. It's so funny because at that time, I was my brother came to me. He saw what I was doing. He was like, man, you got to get into consulting. I was like, what's consulting? He was like, no, you have to get into it. And my brother actually went my brother took a bigger risk than I did, but he's not in business. He he's employed, and he loves what he's doing now. But my brother is the reason I started all of this, to be honest. He went and bought Sam Ovens' course, and it was like $2,500.
It was the top one. Yeah.
Yes. Sam Ovens' course, Consulting Accelerator, was it so? I looked at the price. I was like, man, I'll never get this. Like, I'm not spending $2,500 on a course. I hate college. I hate this stuff. Why would I pay this guy $2,500 for it? So my brother bought it with he put his credit card down, and he bought the course, and he gave me the login. And my brother maybe logged in twice to it. So and I took that course and I studied it, because I was like, maybe my brother will get a refund, so let me finish it. Let me just get through this, because he hasn't logged in. He's not gonna go through it. And then by the time my brother was like, yeah, I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, they're not gonna give me a refund. I was like, they won't, because I just saw the check marks on every single course. They're gonna be like, he finished it and then now he wants a refund. So that got me into everything else. I mean, that's when I started my webinars, and that's when I started running traffic to landing pages and actually like running ads for my own agency.
It's amazing, man. Listen, the short story from my side. Back in 2018, Tai Lopez created his SMM program. And I met one of the great friend of mine. Now we know each other offline as well. We meet each other in US when I start traveling. But that time he was living in UK. I was living in Dubai. I was super suffering. He was on 1 year older than me as a business owner in agency space. And he was managing the restaurants in UK. I believe it was Liverpool, if I'm not mistaken. So the thing is that he bought for himself this course, Tai Lopez SMM agency, and he said, listen, Anatoliy, you have to watch that. And he sent me the login details. I like, what is that? You remember I was telling the course about the course, it's $1,000. I said, $1,000? Like, how different mentality was that time. Oh my God. Yeah. I bought my first mentor course for $47. I was like, a bit expensive, but okay, I will give a shot. $47, I can afford it. But he 1K, watch it. And I log in oh my God, are you serious? You sharing that with me? He said, yeah, take it, no worries. Watch everything, because it's awesome stuff. And I'm like, whoa, I opened for myself so much of insights. That's why I decided, okay, I have to take the clients when I moved to Ukraine. It wasn't about ecom, it was about SMM. But the thing is that I got my first ever course as well through the login from my friend. And that's funny.
God bless these people that share the logins to their courses.
Exactly. We still sharing with each other in nowadays. He's now in Forex, and in US, one of the really successful IT companies for the Forex. But two of us, we started from scratch, and we know each other pain, we know each other success, and we always support each other. He gets something, I got something. Hey man, would you like to watch it? Hey man, look, you have to see it. And it's really something what is help you out to move forward when you have such kind of people back to you. We do not speak for months, and after that, hey man, have you watched it? Bam, throw it into your face some knowledge. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's funny how it works.
Okay, Abe, let's come back to your successful cases with the stores. Share, especially how you exit and how you were able to make it happen, because there is so many guys and girls who listening us, having own brands and dropshipping stores, especially, what they have to do, what you have done that you were able to succeed, and plus sell it on the right time to the right people. How you have done that? What was your success story?
So up until from that point on, when I was selling SMMA, I started doing advertising, started running paid ads for businesses like local businesses, dentists, chiropractors, physicians, stuff like that. I did that for years, right? That was my bread and butter. And then I had several ecom stores that I was managing, several, maybe 4 or 5 at the time. And they weren't doing $50,000, right? They were just maybe doing $10,000, $15,000. And then when COVID hit, everything changed, because the bulk of my revenue was coming from local businesses. And now I'm working with a few e-commerce stores that I literally saw sales just do this. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to drop my local businesses, every client, and I'm going to focus on scaling these accounts. So I changed my pricing structure, and I positioned myself in a way where I'm like, listen, I need to become a partner in this business. I started to think more of a partnership. Like, what if I help you take your sales from 10, 15,000, 20,000 to 100,000, and you give me just 10% of the business or 10% of your profit? That made it, I was getting $10,000, $15,000 checks every month. And then one of my clients comes to me who I was helping, and he was just a client, and I was helping him drop ship fitness equipment. COVID hits. So you can only imagine what happened.
Yeah, that was a golden mine, the exercises at home.
So let me tell you that's a crazy story, because the way it starts and the way it ends is a funny story. So we start the business, and he comes to me, he's like, can I hire you to do my ads? I'm doing about 50,000 a month. I was like, okay. So I realized that he was buying equipment from Facebook Marketplace and selling it on Shopify.
Okay.
So that was an interesting way of like doing it. So I was like, okay, well, have you thought about contacting suppliers in China and getting that shipped out here? It'll be cheaper than what you're doing because you're buying it at cost and you're just making a small profit on top. He was like, I don't know how to do that. So I was like, listen, why don't we partner up? Why don't we actually partner up? I'll drop everything else I'm doing and we'll build this business out. And we'll be at $1 million a month in the next 6 months. He was like, nah, man, we can't do $1 million. That's insane. Within 6 months, we were doing $2 million a month.
Oh,
and
wow.
Eddie Malouf, actually, with 4 Media Marketing, was the guy he was the guy I hired to help me with Google, because like I cracked Facebook and I was bringing $1 million a month on Facebook. And then Eddie came in. It's so funny how it works. He was in town randomly, and I hit him up. I'm like, hey, can you just come through? I'm like, just chat. So he comes in, like I don't talk about my businesses. I don't talk about my revenue. I don't talk about anything. He comes in, he thinks I'm just like a guy he's gonna meet with and have a good conversation, and just another agency owner. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm running this business. You want to just check it out? So I pull up my sheet, and I pull up my ads manager, and he looks at my account. He's like, $1 million a month? He's like, what? I was like, yeah, man, but we're struggling with Google. Do you think you can help me out? He was like, for sure. So I literally was like, Eddie, if you can help me out, let's do it. So I hired him that day. And I think the first paycheck I ever gave an agency was a paycheck for $20,000, and that was to Eddie Malouf. So he was a good friend of mine. Sweet. He definitely helped me scale it. But anyway, so my friend hires me to help him out with the business. So I'm like, look, man, we got to rethink this business. We got to import products from China. This is the only way we're going to get it the cheapest. And we're going to have consistency with our supplier. We're able to customize things, put our logos on it. Right now, you're buying a bunch of different brands and reselling them, and they don't have our logo and branding. We can't charge a premium price. So we contact suppliers, we get samples. He's obviously like shocked, ships out the product. We receive it. It's in a garage. We put it in a garage. Like imagine if like a big 4-wheeler, 6-wheeler pulling up in a neighborhood. They didn't even want to show up to the neighborhood because they don't go into these areas. They have to drop it off at warehouses, and they have special streets for it. So it was like, it was funny the way it worked in the beginning. So now we have all of this fitness equipment parked in a garage. And I'm talking like a lot of equipment. So the
it's full truck.
The initial investment in the business was $15,000. Month 1, we did 60,000 in sales. Month 2, we did 300,000 in sales. Month 3, we did 600. Month 4, we're doing 800,000. And then month 5,
from nothing, from 15K.
From 15K.
Love it.
Yeah. So, but then that type of scale, I realized, okay, some things were starting to break a little bit, especially on the fulfillment side. If you're processing this many orders, there's several things that people don't think about. That type of volume, you need to, first of all, your payment processing for chargebacks, your merchants.
100%.
You got to rotate those accounts, because if you don't, and you get...
I got these issues, believe me, I feel it. Like 40K, 60K on hold, like PayPal forever, like took from you 24 or something like that. It's insane. I know what you mean.
And people don't understand these problems, but you get to these problems at that level, at scale. So we're over here like, you know, processing $1 million a month in sales, and then we're getting some chargebacks because China is having delays with our shipment. So instead of taking, we have a 30-day, we have 15 days after the order where they start processing the order, and then after the 15 days they ship it out, and it takes 30 days for it to get here. So we have to wait like 45 to 50 days from the day we make the order to the day it shows up. Well, it took 2 months. It took 2 months from the day we placed the order to the day we received it. And people don't understand, when you don't buy your own container. The first time we did it, we didn't buy our own container. We used somebody else's container to split costs. Their container got searched. Our product is in there.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting searched every single time they unload it. They charge you. They load it. They charge you. And every day it stays at the port. They're getting charged. So the first shipment we get a bill for $11,000. And obviously we split that bill with the other company that we were sharing the container with. But that's when we were like, we need to just like have our own thing, and we have to do it on our own. So we're making all of this money, and we're hiring people like crazy to help with the fulfillment, and we're literally fulfilling like around the clock. We have a AM team and a PM team, and we just couldn't hire fast enough. And that's when the business started to crack a little bit. And it's
always on scale.
Yeah,
always. When especially no experience, you building the system or quitting. One of that.
And you're building with no experience. So I proposed to my business partner, why don't we hire someone that has experience in this industry and has experience with freight and shipping and fulfillment to build out the fulfillment center and to build out like, you know, our process. And he's like, no, we'll figure it out. Let's just get through this phase and we'll figure it out. So I noticed Facebook started surveying our customers, and that was the first time.
That is 2019.
Yes.
This is when I got hit. Oh my God! Yeah,
so that was bad. Facebook, I didn't even know they can do that.
They could, as we can see.
So I noticed Facebook is starting to survey our customers, literally asking people who purchased, clicked on the ad and purchased from our website. Did you receive your product? How was customer service? How was the support team? And then obviously the people that didn't receive, everyone is expecting 7-day shipping, but we made it clear that it might take from 6 weeks.
On the website it's mentioned. Yes,
6 weeks to 12 weeks. 6 to 12 weeks. We were very specific, but people were like, "Oh, I didn't get my product yet." So when they say I didn't receive my product yet, to Facebook, oh, they didn't ship it out. But in reality, there was a disclaimer on the website saying that we're not going to ship it. We're going to ship it between 6 to 12 weeks. So the customer understands Facebook is misinterpreting what the customer's saying. So we're getting hit with the feedback score.
Yep.
So now Facebook obviously bumps up our cost for ads, and now we're like, our ads are getting disapproved left and right. We don't know what to do. We have to contact Facebook. We contact Facebook. They explain the situation, and then we fix that up, and then PayPal now holds $600,000.
I feel you, man. Seriously, I'm living out my own experience through your story. It's insane.
So we have $600K in PayPal, and then PayPal is like, we actually need to see shipping labels so that we can release the funds. We're like, we can't give you shipping labels because we haven't shipped them out yet, because we have 6 to 12 week window to ship out the product. You can't ask for shipping labels for customers that just purchased. We're still waiting on the supply. They were like, oh, we don't like the model where you sell the product before you have it. We don't work with that model.
Permanently ban you or not?
Yes.
On the pay. Yeah.
Yes.
Complete. They have the same words using Facebook, PayPal, Stripe. All of them using the same script when they're telling you the reason why not. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
So now we have 600 stuck, and the $600,000, based on what PayPal was saying, they said they'll release it in 6 months, because that's the window that they need to give the customer to be able to charge back the payment. So I'm like, why are we letting them charge it back? So we send out an email to some customers, to a segment of the customers, to explain the situation and to let them know not to charge their cards back. And they end up charging their card back when we send that email, because now they're freaking out. Like, oh, are they actually going to send my product? So now we're unable to process payments altogether because our merchant processor puts us on the, scammer list, or like, watch out for this company. And we didn't know that we have to have the different lines that we use and rotate different merchant processing systems so that we're not using. So if we get 20 chargebacks, it doesn't get hit to the same account. We're supposed to rotate them so that if you get 5 here and then rotate another one account and then you get 5 here, it doesn't look like 20 on one account. So now we're working with this company. They're like, I forgot the term for it, but they work with these type of processing, payment processors, and they figure out a way to work it out. So we get access back. We're able to process payments again, but PayPal obviously won't. They don't communicate. They won't budge. So we have $600,000 stuck with PayPal that we can't use to buy product and fulfill product. And $600,000 for like inventory heavy business like that, we need it. Like it's not like just because we're making $1 million doesn't mean that we don't need that money. We do need the money because we are reinvesting in the inventory to keep up with the demand.
Cash flow is the life of the business in general. No cash flow, you can die. Like, it's true. Like, completely understand that.
So my business partner at this time is freaking out. He's focused solely on just fulfillment. He just doesn't want to do anything else but to focus on the fulfillment department. And I'm just over here sitting. I'm like, okay, I don't go to the warehouse. I don't really help on the fulfillment side because I'm doing the sales and the partnerships and all that. So I told him, man, like, let's just get out of the business. Let's sell the business. We're in the perfect position. Let's clean it up and let's sell the business to someone that understands how to manage it. And he didn't want to do that. So I was like, I'm going to sell my part of the business. So at the time, he was against selling the business until we found the right investor. And the way I found an investor is I went through my network of clients that I've worked with and went through a network of brokers, business brokers that I've talked to in the past, because business brokers used to be my friends that would get me connected to all these businesses. They had lists of businesses that they worked with revenue, and they would literally hand me the list and tell me, these are the businesses you want to talk to if you want to help them with their sales because they're looking to exit. I don't know how legal that was, but that's when I used to do social media and advertising. So I would partner up with these business brokers, and I would see someone that recently got acquired, and I would go to them and be like, hey, it looks like you're a new business or under new management. I'd love to work with you. Love to
That's
do
smart way, man.
So that was my kind of referral network, and I'd obviously give them a percentage of everything I made from their network. But they would send me these like long lists of all the businesses in the area. So I had access to this guy, and I was like, look, I'm trying to exit the business. This is what we're doing in revenue. This is what we're projected to do, and it's not going to slow down. We had some issues that we'll disclose when we're discussing the contracts and go from there. So ended up working everything out, and actually ends up being the guy that was interested in the business. He ends up being one of my friends who I've helped with several real estate projects just from like networks. And he was like, how much do you guys need? We gave him a number. He was like, all right, can I pay this much upfront? And that's when you get introduced to like the multiplier, and that's when they talk to you about these things. But we actually didn't even go through that process. We just said, we'll sell you the business as it is. Just take it over, because we wanted to make the money. And that's what we did with the first business. And we had a 1-year non-compete because he knew that I would go back and restart the business. But
of course, so just new domain, new website, and all the supply, everything, it's already under your control.
So I had 1-year non-compete, and within that year, I had built the other business. And within 6 months, the business was sold again.
Nice.
The same exact business. He actually ended up going out of business just because of just management. So they had to shut down, and he ended up going out of business. I helped him on the advertising side, so the sales were going good, but he ended up going out of business. And It's just like the right opportunity at the right time. But to manage that level of like complexity and to manage that level of running a store this big, and we're shipping like thousands of pounds. It's not easy. You can't just ship it through air, right? It has to be done, by sea, and
in bulk. In bulk, fill up all the inventory. And the buying, like my opinion, when people buy in the business, most of the time it's really, if you don't have the experience in this industry, it won't survive. Like, you are not the first person who's sharing with me the story that he sold out, he made an exit, and after a while, not a while, even after half a year, 2 years, the person or company who bought it shut down the door for this business. And it's sad, because you made it really successful and people buying it, investing money on it, and after that they just like, done, like moving forward, because too many mistakes they're making, they don't know how to manage that. They're not you. Like, what's the awesome thing? Like, in Ukraine, I grew up in Ukraine, I'm Ukrainian, and there is a lot of corruption, a lot. And back in 2014, 2012, some government corruption, people were coming and trying to get your business. Like, from now on, 50% of your business, ours. And there is so many like successful entrepreneurs there who sharing these stories till now, how hard it was, that people were really robbed, and it was just like super tough, that someone coming suddenly, you're successful, they taking half of your business and you are not anymore able to do anything. But what's important, what awesome is our industry with e-commerce, that if someone will knock in your door and tell 50% of your business now mine, we can say, take it all.
Yes.
Please manage. Like, but where? Like, I don't know. This is the business. Take it. Handle it. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, they just look at the profit. Our profit margin. If I tell you my profit margin on the fitness equipment in the e-commerce space, you're not gonna believe me. We had a 60% profit margin.
16 or 60?
60.
But you bought in bulk. That's one of the good thing.
Yes.
And plus all the systems backend, most probably SMS, email marketing.
But our price was we sold at 3 times the market value.
Because you branded.
Because it was branded, and because of the demand. There was no inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So we sold 3x, and people paid 3x. So it's like a dumbbell that people used to pay $1 for, they were paying $3 for a pound. And we were selling at 3.3, 3.5. And it wasn't like taking advantage of the market, but it was like, we can get it faster. We were paying more money to get it shipped out here to LA faster, with the speedboats. So we can get it here faster, but you're going to pay a premium price for it. And people were willing to do that. But
it's always, they still doing that. One of the items which we were selling, like everyone on the market was selling, it was $33 cost. The belt for back pain relief. Everyone was selling for $69. We were selling for $99.99. Average order value was $125, $130, something like that. And when we found out the brand which we were planning to copy, to modulate, COVID happened, and all this issue with supplier, we decided to quit on that idea. But we were scaling fast. We were already on almost 500,000 a month, and COVID happened. And we find out before, like couple of weeks before COVID, we found that the belt, exactly the same belt that branded, and price is $259.
Wow.
$259, like just a logo. Obviously, it's a multiple 7-figure brand on that time when we were like spying behind. It was insane. Like, you are able to always overcharge if you already position yourself as a brand. You're right. Yeah. That's awesome. And you were using Facebook, Google, SMS, email marketing for that. And in the same time, this is what pushed you to move to the client side and just repeat your success. Correct?
Repeat my success and work with customers to help them understand. I feel like there's a misunderstanding, or people think that as an e-com store owner, like, you want to get to 7 figures as soon as possible. I don't know if that's the right thing to do. You don't want to get to 7 figures as soon as possible. You want to scale profitably.
Step by step.
Exactly. And obviously, like, if you make $50,000, like we were just talking about margins before we hopped on this call. If I made $50,000 and I only get to keep 7% of it, versus making $10,000 and keeping 60% of it, what's better? So you got to understand, like, your profit margins play a huge role. So 7 figures adds more complexity and it cuts into your margins. It might not even be profitable at 7 figures. You have to understand when to scale and when not to scale. And that's what we focus on with our clients, is more of like a, not just an agency, but more consulting on the back end of things. Just because
official partners.
Just because we've dealt with these problems ourselves. And it was a shit show. It was panic attacks level. You know, we were getting panicked. I mean, because like we were like, the federal government is going to show up at our door if we don't ship these out. Because it was like the first time we do this. You know, I had never like had a business this successful. So I was like, man, if PayPal doesn't give us our money back, how are we going to pay our taxes? And ship and fulfill these orders.
Like, I love I didn't know that we have so much similar in our background. I mean, different levels, different ways, but as I always saying, that when someone planning to work with us, like especially when I was me and only one media buyer, 2 of us only, and I was saying, listen, like, I got through the several mistakes, I got through so many fails, and I will take them and I manage that. So by working with me, you're taking on the board the experience where it will definitely happen, but I will help you out to manage that more softly, because we know how to manage that. And if something we can avoid to happen, we'll let you know that this is what we have to do to avoid it. I mean, that's true. Like, you are partnering with people who already done that several times, or at least they feel that on their own skin. They will guide you. And this is the leads who are telling you like, hey, okay, so what's your goal? He doesn't have even store, you know. Yeah, I want to scale like in the first month for 6 figures. Like, what about just first of all find a winning product, even without all creating the store, and scale that to the 100 a day, 300 a day, 1000 a day, to find out the process, to make it sure that step by step you understanding how it works and handling the small issues. How you would be on 6 figures without overtake all these micro steps? Like, come on, man. Oh, people, yeah, you're right. It just, like, I want a million. Exactly. And but nobody wants to be patient when happen the shit. First small thing, like let's say hold from PayPal, and it's only like $500. Hold it. And they're like, done. I don't want to deal with that shit. You screwed up my PayPal. You like kill my name in business world, because I cannot use any more payment process and so on. And like, come on, man. It's a small thing first happen. How would you manage that on the level of 100,000 a month? Like, people don't understand that it's a business. I mean, it's awesome business. It's a flexibility. It's a freedom, obviously. It's a beneficial business. But as any kind of business, you have to manage the problems which just really exist. And sometimes they're more painful than on offline business. Offline business, you can come, I don't know, shake the hands, make the deal, make the postponing payments, whatever. With PayPal or other payment provider, they will take your money, or supplier you'll pay 300K and he never ship it. Like, we had this thing. 300K revenue a month we paid, and he never shipped our items. It was incredible. I mean, we were so screwed.
I don't know if this ever happened to you, but because we had so much volume, we had a container fall into the ocean.
Oh, serious? No, never.
Yeah, we had a container fall into the ocean, and their response was, we can't. I mean, if it was FOB, obviously. And there's different types of shipping where like it talks about liability and where is the liability, who's the liability on up until it gets delivered. So for us, it was a rookie mistake. The liability was ours on us as soon as it got on the ship from the fulfillment center in China.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah. So now there's a container in the ocean, and they're not gonna dive in there and get it. So we lost however much we lost. Yeah. And yeah, those problems you don't think about when you're doing drop shipping. You know, you don't think about when you're selling product.
Yeah, and it's this model for you. It was already own business, not really drop shipping model. But still, It's true. I was before you said that you are actually responsible for this container. I was thinking, even if it's not your mistake, even if they are responsible, has insurance obviously, and still until they will figure it out, until they will contact each other, until they will start investigation, until they will ship these same products to you, get payments to buy this product. Like, it's a month of investigation and process, but you are screwed. I mean, you are the 100%. Face in front of your customers. What is back end? Nobody cares. And you have, again, not quit. You have to think how to manage this case. It's insane. I feel you.
Yeah, it was a fun journey. Definitely, like, I definitely learned what anxiety feels like.
But can you tell me, like, all this background, and forget about that you sold it. Obviously, it's already a successful story. But are you happy to have this kind of background with you?
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't trade this for the world, to be honest, because it gives you a different perspective. When you look at things, you're not looking from a, like, it's like looking at a picture from so close up, you don't really see the picture for what it is. Like, when you look at a picture from a distance, you're like, oh wow, like this makes sense. This is a beautiful piece of art, and you can see what it is. And before, you're in the business so much, you don't see it. But when you have all these experiences, before you step into a business, you can see the business for what it is. You're like, okay, I can fix this. And if I fix this, we'll help the margins here, and I can do this more with this, have more profit. I can, spend more money on ads.
It's made you who you are.
Exactly.
I mean, as a business owner.
Yeah.
That's 100% true. I would never trade my own fails experience, because all my success, all these plugs behind everything in my life, it's all through the freaking fail, super painful fails, such as when I wasn't able to sleep. I wasn't able to wake up and like be smiling. I was really mentally stressed out. Thinking about ideas, how to figure it out, and so on. But this is what's give you that kind of, when you solve the problem, you become like really expert in your field. You becoming the real business owner that if you didn't quit and manage. And I was thinking that everyone are doing that and everyone actually on the same shoes. But then when I start the agency, I realized that no, almost nobody wants to deal with the shit.
Yes.
They just directly quitting when it's first uncomfortable thing. They just wanna, like in crypto, invest $1 and get it 10 in couple of weeks. Nothing else. They don't wanna understand the whole process.
And they don't wanna
that's
take risks.
Opened my eyes.
They don't want to take risks. I'm sure with your clients too, you see this. Like your clients, you'll tell them, hey, like, we need to take a risk to be able to scale from this number to this number, and they're like, no, we don't want to mess anything up. And then you're frustrated.
Yeah, we had a client who stayed with us like 8 months, and you won't believe, we never ever made more than 20K a month. Never. Because she was spending $300 a day. We said, first, when we start getting sales, like, let's scale it. No, it's fine. Let's wait for now. Again and again and again. And we never spent more than 300 a day. It was just insane. She never allowed us, and product was doing so well. And she just created for herself model. She's covering our cost. She's covering all the other costs, and she's getting on the top of that like 15% profitability, and she's fine with that, like extra 1.5, 2K, and she's okay with that. It's like passive income for her. She's not doing anything. She's not stressing out. And it was so annoyed that like in matter of some like months number 7 or 8, it's ended, because it's really like we are not able to make money because we are win-win. If he's scaling, we are making more. And that's like it's an awesome for her, like maybe mother with the kids, like extra couple of K, nice, the guy's doing work for me. But if you want to be in the business, and it's ended. Another thing that it's ended fast. So if you want to cash now, okay, stay on this 1-2K a month. But if you want to build a real, consistent and reliable, legit business, you need to always be on the scaling mode and managing with the underwater stones, which is always happening on your own.
And testing, like you like if you have winning ads and you have a winning product, it doesn't mean that things change. Things always change, and that's what people like more like store owners and more like businesses need to understand. It's what, just because it's working this year, doesn't mean it's going to work next year. You always, as a company, you always have to put a portion of your profits into testing different products, into formulating different products.
Yeah, 10 to 20% at least on the
20, exactly.
new.
We do, if you're aggressive, we do 20%. I prefer 20% because now if these ads like start tanking, we have 20% testing budget that we've already spent on testing ads that we know might have potential. So we can put them into our winning ads.
Yeah, right now, like I just want to say that now it's mandatory when we have a winning product because things are changed too fast. Before we have, to be honest with you, we haven't done that much testing. We was like investing 5 to 10% on different creatives, but now it's mandatory when we have really seen great reaction on the ads. Every single week, 10, 20, 30 creatives, it depends how aggressive we are, up to 100 creatives a week has to be tested. And every single week, like testing, because it gives you really new bunch of the creatives, new bunch of the angles. And you see what angles are start working, bam. Okay, from 100, 10, 20 angles are okay. Let's move on with this 20, like make it broader and test the different layouts. I mean, definitely without especially how fast moving now, AI, all the stuff, like competitors will beat your ass.
Yeah. But remember when CBO came out?
Yeah.
Remember how everyone freaked out? It's going to be the end of ads?
Exactly. Oh my God. Everything what was working that won't work anymore. And when after that iOS 14 happened, 14,
yes.
Like now we are dead and so on, man.
It works. It works differently now. You just have to figure out how it works and you have to move different. Now, before you can have the same ad creative, like Sam Ovens ran the same ad, and in his course, he talks about just like variations, but like, you know, he can run the same ad for a year. And that used to work back then, but now, like as especially in the e-com space, you got to be switching ads like every couple of weeks. Like you can't count on one ad performing for a long time. You have to account for the unforeseen future.
100%, I agree with you. It's what is big change happen in terms of changing all the time the creatives. When you even it could be the same creative, but it was, let's say, green. Now it will be blue. Now next day it will be gray. It could be like in our agency we have a winning creative which is working all the time, the structure. But the layout always changing. For the last 2 years, we changed so many layouts, but the idea stays the same and it's generating again and again. I was testing different videos, I was testing different angles, but that particular angle with the price is showing up, people are making attention, and it's again and again, we just rechanging the designing, and every couple of months we have new bunch of the creatives and which start performing and just switching them. 100%, like I agree with you that it's important. Abe, we are running out of time, and guys, I'm excited to hear your feedback because that was a real experience from the past. And for you, the guidance, what you have to be ready for, what you have to be prepared, and what you have to make attention on if you are really like dealing with similar situations right now, or you're at the beginning of your journey. Maybe you already overtake all of that and you realize, oh my God, I would be able to manage that X, Y, Z in other way if I would be listened this before. But I cannot believe that Abe and we have so much similar background, and I believe like maybe most of us who are now in agency space or brand owners have that similar background with the different crazy stories.
But especially with like you living in Dubai and I was your neighbor next door in Kuwait.
Exactly.
We're probably taking the course at the same time.
Yeah, it's true. And that is as well another piece of the story, which is like push a lot when you are outside of your comfort zone, outside of your country. And it was really a huge life lesson to hustle more than you could if you would stay at home in Egypt or I'm back in Ukraine. Abe, I have a last question, which is I'm asking everyone at the end of the podcast, and would like to hear your answer as well. Is it okay? Awesome. So what would you choose, especially with your background, the journey or end result?
100% the journey. Because I'm sure you can relate to this too. The end result is pretty boring. I don't think I've ever learned anything from wins, honestly. If I look back and actually write every single win that I've had, I felt happy for a little bit and then it goes away. And then now you're chasing the next thing. So for me, like every single like point where I had to sit down and reflect, like the sleepless nights, they seem in the time when they happened, it was bad, unfortunate, man, I can't sleep because of the amount of stress. But now I'm like, wow, like what a journey. Like this was amazing. I learned so much that I've become a stronger person. You know, now you can look at a wall and be like, I can walk through this wall if I want to.
Yeah, I love the example which you made, because the win, when it's win is happening for me, my not top one first thought in my mind, okay, what's next? You know, it's like we close the chapter, what's next?
It doesn't last.
Yeah, and I just like, and I was feeling that, oh my God, I so tough, I so boring that it success happened to me here. And I'm like, okay, next chapter. And I stopped some, like really, when I started getting some big win, even small wins, but I understand that it's a win. I trying to hold myself on pause and like, hey, I have to celebrate it somehow, just to appreciate the universe, you know, that it happened to me. And I like buying some gift for my wife, or I'm going to Disneyland with my son. You know, it's nothing to me even, to it's for them, but I'm enjoying the process, and I know that it's a reason because I win. And that start giving me kind of extra feelings, because really, like for me it's the next chapter, but I really want to hold this moment for a second to feel that it happened. And I decided to make this kind of gifts and fun for my family to make sure that like it will hold for a bit with us.
You know, the way I look at it is, I used to also feel the same way you did, you know, with like, man, am I too harsh on myself? Am I too like, you know, mean to myself? And then I realized, you know, if I had a purpose that was like not me, then the wins are not mine. Like, I don't care for the wins. I care for what I'm here to do. So even if I win, why am I like, I don't need to celebrate it, because I mean, obviously I appreciate it and I appreciate these things are happening to me. But at the same time, as someone that is trying to be the best version of themselves, and as someone that's trying to constantly push the limits of what I can do, the wins are not contributing to the limits. So yeah. I appreciate the pain a little bit more, because the pain actually helps me get to. So I want to skip the wins as fast as I can, have them, but not stay too much in them. Because I feel like a lot of people, I'm not saying that, you know, that's with everyone. A lot of people push the gas too hard. They get what they want, and then they just take their foot off the gas completely. And the amount of like the amount of pain that you have to go through again to re-push it is too great. So like, you know, maybe let loose a little bit, but then don't take your foot off.
I got for myself this kind of understanding maybe 1.5 years ago. Our agency was always growing every single month, every single year, except when war happened, we started getting fluctuation for reasonable moments, because most of our employers in Ukraine. But the thing is that when I started winning so hard, I mean, we really were scaling hard the agency, like 4x, 5x in a year. I was becoming I started relaxing. Like, you know, I got success, and I start sometimes relaxing, and like for 2 weeks of relax, I like everything is still working, everything is cool, so I can relax. You won't feel the fail. I mean, how this relax will affect on you and your results for next maybe months or two. But it definitely will hit you in a couple of months, and you're like, oh my God, why? What happened? Like, everything was perfect, because that moment you were relaxing, and things start diving down, and you like need to understand that in advance. And to bring it back, it takes 60 to 90 days on the same level to fix the issues. And I learned it twice in my journey, relaxation, it could be, but not like everything is great on my end, I will just let it run. Yeah. I learned it 2 times. It was really tough learn, but important for me to understand that I should not repeat the same if I don't want a 90 days recovery in all the issues.
There's a mental model that I had to adopt like early on, after I realized what you just talked about right now. And it's like the third order of consequence, right? Mm-hmm. So I live my life thinking in third order consequences. Third order consequence is, if I eat a cookie today, right now, the first order of consequence, the first consequence that's going to happen is I'm going to feel great. Mm-hmm. Second order is I'm going to have a little bit of regret after. That's the second consequence. order of consequence. Third order is I'm gonna gain weight and really be unhappy for a long time, and the pain of being unhappy is gonna be greater than the pleasure I felt with the cookie that I ate.
One cookie.
So like I always think, okay, first step, second step, third step. First step, I'm gonna feel great. I'm gonna regret what I did, and I'm gonna resent myself for a little bit, and then I'm gonna get fat, overweight, and it's gonna affect my lifestyle, and that's gonna affect my business. So I'm not gonna eat that cookie. And that's how you keep yourself. Is great. Sam Ovens, talked about this mental model, and I just took it and ran with it.
I love it. Really, this is the awesome ending of the conversation, and I appreciate for this kind of insights. And guys and girls, if you would like to reach out to Abe, we'll add it in the bio of this podcast, all the information, links to the agency and his social media profile. And if you have a brand which you want to scale and you decided to not go to us for some reason, Abe is a great guy who I can really recommend it, and you can jump on the conversation with him in the DMs and just like see if you're both good fit to each other. Definitely, Abe, I was really enjoying this podcast with you, and guys and girls, like Abe Elsayed was with me today, so thank you so much for your time, Abe, and if you have something to say to the audience, please feel free.
I just want to say thank you for having me, man, and your story is like extremely inspirational. When we were at the Powerhouse event and you shared what happened, and the group was talking about you and the podcast you did with 4Media, extremely inspirational. So definitely enjoyed being on your show and also talking to you, man. I love your story. It's people like you that make us feel more motivated to keep going during tough times, like that. We look at examples like this. So definitely, it's a pleasure being on your show.
I will be honest with you, I hate my story. I really hate my story, but in terms of the war, but yes, I appreciate it. I understand what you mean.
And you took risking your life to the next level.
I will be.
Yeah. It was hard, definitely, like, we don't see that in the US.
If I won't struggle with my e-commerce business from the beginning, I won't be able to manage what I have, what I was able. If not experiencing entrepreneurship, I won't be here where I am today, especially with those kind of stories of my life which you are speaking about right now. I do appreciate your words, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good day and see you in another episode. Bye-bye.